The tip of stoking curiosity isn't just about grabbing students' attention. Research shows that putting the brain in a curious state can facilitate learning even when the curiosity is about something else. Before we jump into curiosity, have you ever heard of the bloop? The bloop was a mysterious oceanic sound detected in 1997 by NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It was massive, to say the least. It was detected at least 2,000 miles across the Pacific Ocean. Here we're seeing a spectrogram of the sound, and I have a short audio clip of the sound to play for you. Let's play that one more time. Interesting. So researchers didn't know what the origins of the sound could be. It was too loud to be any sort of animal known to science, so people wondered if it could be some unknown sea creature or a secret underwater military exercise. Are you feeling curious yet? So let's talk about curiosity. We'll get back to the bloop in a moment. Stoking curiosity isn't just about grabbing students' attention. As I mentioned before, there is something about the curious state that really drives learning, and that research shows that putting the brain in a curious state can facilitate learning even when the curiosity is about something else. Let me share a handful of research findings related to curiosity and learning that I have found interesting. So first of all, curiosity has been shown to be related to activity in brain areas dedicated to reward and memory. Memory is a good thing because we want students to be able to remember what they learn. And reward means that students enjoy a curious state and will work for it. And reward actually does double duty because the brain's memory system tends to prioritize things that we find rewarding. So we know being curious is something that is fun for our students and will help them remember what they are learning. Research has also demonstrated that participants report higher curiosity ratings when making predictions versus simply being shown an answer. Having students make predictions is a powerful learning tool in its own right because it helps students to make connections between what they're learning and what they already know, but it also makes them curious. Consider just for a moment, what are some ways you might be able to incorporate prediction in how you present information to students? Instead of always simply telling the information to students, where could you first work in a prediction? Curiosity really is about wanting to find out an answer to something, or an explanation if the answer is surprising in some way. And it turns out that what really makes us curious is having the right balance of uncertainty about an answer or explanation. We need to have enough background knowledge that we know something about the thing that we are curious about, but not full confidence in our knowledge of the answer. And research has shown that there is a sort of inverted U-shaped relationship between confidence in an answer and one's level of curiosity. If students are asked to make a prediction about something they have no idea about, their curiosity is going to be low. However, if they have enough information or background knowledge to make a pretty good guess, but are still not sure of the answer, that is when curiosity is maximized. At least until they learn the answer. Once students have the answer, curiosity wanes pretty rapidly. However, if the answer is surprising, such as when one is highly confident in their prediction and it turns out to be wrong, then curiosity is again piqued. So curiosity is piqued for surprising answers. Just imagine how it feels when you are quite confident in your knowledge of something only to find out you are wrong. You are curious about the explanation, right? You want to understand. And thinking about this, That curiosity is piqued for surprising answers made me realize that students who are curious about something they were highly confident in are probably so because they want to reconcile the discrepancy in their thinking. They already know the answer, but they want more. They want to understand how the answer can be. And that means curious students want to understand the answer, not just to know it. And that's what we want, right? Students actively trying to understand and make sense of something rather than just trying to know something so that they can repeat it on the exam. That makes curiosity quite powerful as a learning tool. Anyway, some research has taken advantage of the fact that individuals tend to be quite curious when they have made high confidence errors like this, and have used scenarios like these to learn more about curiosity and learning. For example, researchers have observed that attention and memory are enhanced during a curious state elicited by high confidence errors. We just saw that curiosity is related to activity in brain areas dedicated to memory, but a couple of studies have actually demonstrated enhanced memory and attention when participants are curious after making high confidence errors. One study showed participants were less able to detect a tone that occurred during the presentation of feedback following high confidence errors than during the presentation of feedback following low confidence errors. The idea here is that participants paid such close attention to the feedback when they were surprised by it, under the assumption that they were more curious, that they didn't notice the tone. In a similar finding, another study found that participants were more likely to remember the font color of feedback that was presented following high confidence errors versus low confidence errors. So in this case, since the font color was integrated with the feedback, participants were more likely to notice it and remember it when they were surprised or made more curious by the feedback. Again, we are seeing how memory and attention are enhanced when students are in a curious state. And in fact, one of the most interesting findings I have to share is from a study that showed participants better remembered both information they were curious about and unrelated information also presented during that curious state. The participants better remembered trivia questions that they had rated as making them more curious, and they better remembered totally unrelated faces that were presented after trivia questions that made them more curious, but before they got the answers. They didn't remember as well trivia questions or their paired faces when they weren't as curious about the answer. This finding seems to contradict what the study about the ignored tone found, because in this case, participants are attending to and remembering unrelated information, whereas in the tone study, participants ignored the unrelated information. However, I believe the key difference is whether the unrelated information is presented before hearing the answer or the explanation, or whether it is presented at the same time as the answer or explanation. If participants have to divide their attention between one task or another, they're going to attend to the one they are curious about and tune out the one they are not, which also suggests they will be less distractible when curious. However, if unrelated information is presented during a curious state and nothing else is competing for the participant's attention because they are still waiting for the answer or explanation, attention and memory are going to be enhanced for that information. So that suggests that we can put students in a curious state and then present them with some information we want them to remember. And so long as we do that before giving them the answer or explanation and before their curiosity wanes, they will remember that information better than if they had not been in a curious state. The final finding I wanted to highlight is this one, where participants spent more scarce resources, which in the experiment took the form of limited tokens and waiting time, to find out answers they were more curious about. So, this suggests that students will work harder and dedicate more resources to learning about those things they are curious about. Okay, so that was a lot of information. So, let's summarize the research we just went over on curiosity and learning. Curiosity is linked to reward and memory brain activity. Curiosity is increased when making predictions. Curiosity is highest when we have a balanced level of uncertainty. When we do find out the answer to something, curiosity is highest for those answers that are most surprising. Curiosity increases attention and memory for feedback. Curiosity increases attention and memory even for unrelated information, so long as the unrelated information isn't trying to draw our attention away from the feedback. And curiosity motivates students to learn because we know research participants, at least, will expend resources in order to learn something that they are curious about. Okay, back to the bloop. Let's take a look at what researchers now believe that massive noise was. According to NOAA's website, the bloop was deemed to be caused by an iceberg cracking and breaking away from an Antarctic glacier. Not nearly as satisfying as some mysterious sea creature, but now you know. As for implementing this tip in the classroom, I'd like for you to consider your ideas for how you might stoke curiosity in your own classes. Is there something you already do in one of your courses to spark curiosity? Or have you had any ideas come up about how you might try to make students curious? What do you think? Please share your ideas in the comments area.